Our world is very complicated. When we view it under a microscope, we know that every object is made of innumerable molecules, composed of an unthinkable number of atoms. The laws that predict how an apple will fall through the air, or how a light bulb emits light, are still theorized about every day. In the background, complex transfer of digital data is happening all around us. Between cloud data and storage and the internet, it's almost as if another entirely simulated world exists alongside our natural world. How do we typically think about this digital world? What are some similarities and differences between the digital and the natural? When we put the two side by side, what can we learn about our lives and ourselves? If natural matter is made of particles, what are all these digital things really made of? Computers hold this information, so we can say that it all exists as specific arrangements of electrons inside of computer memory. We call these digital things data. Our data is very easy to change and manipulate. If we have a simulated object living in the cloud, composed of electrons represented by binary data, we modify it by giving it rules to follow. A video game may model laws of gravity or electricity to transform objects or players. Financial systems model the laws of trading stocks or bonds to manipulate our money. It's really as easy as moving some electrons around a silicon chip. In both cases, we know that structures we interact with are made up of smaller building blocks that operate in accordance to laws. In light of this, why not think of both the natural and digital world as being composed of different kinds of data? In the natural world, data is composed of protons, neutrons, and electrons at a small level, or molecules at a larger level. When you run your hand over a kickball, your nerves interpret the roughness of the rubber as if it was reading data off of the surface. When we talk to someone, the air compressions from our voice and the visual movements of our mouth are data to be interpreted by the other person's brain. It's almost like our natural world is just a very complex system of data transformations that we're also a part of. When we look at the world like this, as data, there are some notable differences in the data that makes up the natural world and the data that makes up the digital simulated world. We can think of one object, say an apple, to figure out these differences. In the natural world, an apple is made of innumerable elementary particles. They're all following natural processes that lead to its growth, its bruising if it's dropped, or its decay as it sits ignored on the counter. A natural apple is full of data. A digital apple, be it simulated in a video game or in a lab, can also model things like color, shape, size, and much more. If we have a particularly advanced simulation, maybe the apple also decays as digital time marches on. However, our limited computational resources cannot model the immense amount of data packed into a natural apple. The key is that even in the most advanced models, our simulated apple still contains much less data than our natural apple. We can call this phenomenon a difference in data density. Most all digital systems suffer from this disparity in data density. To return to our example of talking with a friend, if we speak with them digitally through a messaging app, the amount of data that's exchanged is much less than an in-person conversation. Sometimes tone of voice or body language is crucial to understanding human communication, and the loss of that can lead to misunderstanding a text message. This happens all the time. Systems like social media also suffer from too little data density. Our social profiles can't say everything about our personality and life, so someone engaging with our profile might get the wrong impression of us based on shallow information. When we say something rude on social media, we don't get the visual and emotional feedback of how that comment may have hurt someone's feelings. We can forget that there are deep, complex people on the other side of the screen. This phenomenon even contributes to the ease with which drone strikes kill people across the world. To physically fly a plane and bomb people in the natural world brings in more sensory and emotional data than just viewing it through a screen. To take the analogy further, if a bomber pilot could better hear the sounds of the dying or see firsthand what it looked like from the ground, the emotional response elicited would be much different, and they may rethink their decisions. Sometimes the ease of technology and the simplification of experience through shallow data contribute to the normalization of things that would be truly traumatizing if carried out in the natural world. This begs the question of whether or not some systems should be modeled and switched over to the digital world at all. Whereas communication has huge benefits by being in digital form, distance as an obstacle is removed and the ability to meet others is greatly increased, it also suffers from low data density, and subsequently, we more frequently misunderstand each other. Some systems are almost unarguably worse. You would probably struggle to find someone who actually enjoys interacting with an oversimplified call center bot more than a real human. We're forced to live in both the natural and the digital worlds throughout our lives. When we interact with the digital world more and more, we should recognize that our brains are sometimes learning based on shallow representations of what would be more rich in the natural world. As such, our brains could see thousands of vile posts online, come to the conclusion that most of humanity is truly disgusting, and not realize that each comment was posted by a deeply complex and nuanced person who may not be as vile as their post makes them seem. The real world, rather, may have a better chance of teaching us that humanity is truly morally complex. This can even be illustrated by the simple example of seeing only photos and a description of something that looks amazing online, buying it, and finding out that it's really not all that great upon receiving it in reality. To be fair to the digital world, the benefits it brings are also tremendous and immensely powerful. Access to information through the internet is unparalleled in human history. The ease with which we can perform complex actions, such as getting directions, is also staggering. Digital versions of many systems that existed previously in the natural world work much better than they ever did before. The key, though, is designing these digital systems correctly, and making sure the amount of data they interact with either sufficiently models the natural, or is presented in a way that acknowledges its shallowness. There is a lot to think about when it comes to the differences between the digital world and the natural world. We really only scratched the surface in this video, and there's much more to come in the future. But for now, whenever you're interacting with the simulated digital world, think about this question. If I were doing this in real life, without digital technology, what would be different? How does the digitalness of it affect your experience? We may be surprised to find that there are some things we wish were not digital, and some we wish were. Thank you for watching, and we'll continue with this idea next time. We welcome you to join us on this journey as we explore the hidden depths of human creativity. The road may be long and winding, but we're committed to changing the conversation surrounding technologies in our lives. Part of our goal is to bring a sense of community to our world of technology. Our devices sometimes serve to alienate us, so we would rather work to reverse this trend. For this reason, we encourage you all to share these ideas with your friends, families, coworkers, whomever, in order to develop a collective consciousness of understanding. We too love to hear from those who absorb our ideas and have thoughts of their own. Engaging with us on YouTube or on social media are great ways to grow the community of those who think and care about technology. The more we talk with each other about the systems that govern our lives, the better we'll be able to shape the present and future so our inventions work for us rather than exploit us. It'll take a bit of thought and a bit of effort, but we can work together to craft the technological future that we all deserve.